Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you of something powerful. Confidence creates champions. Before any victory was won in the arena, it was first won in the mind. You see, a man who knows he cannot be beaten cannot be beaten. The battle is already decided when belief becomes stronger than doubt. Confidence is not arrogance, it is preparation meeting faith. When you step into life's ring knowing who you are, the punches of doubt, criticism, is a fear will never land. But confidence alone is not enough. Risk is the price of achievement. You don't get to stand on the podium of life without walking through the valley of uncertainty. Every great achievement demands courage, the kind that risks comfort, reputation, and even failure itself. Those unwilling to risk will never know what it means to truly live. The man or woman who avoids risk avoids greatness. And as you pursue greatness, here is what you'll discover: courage overcomes critics. The louder you declare your vision, the more the world will gather to doubt you. They will say it cannot be done. They will say history, reason, and logic are against you. But their logic is not your destiny, your belief, your vision, your persistence. These will silence every critic. The critics may laugh at first, but they will bow when you win. Still, courage without preparation is foolishness. Preparation makes the impossible possible. Think of the matador facing the bull, faster, more dangerous, but the matador wins, not with force, but with strategy. The same is true for us. Strength may win a moment, but preparation wins a lifetime. Strategy, discipline, and foresight turn giants into stepping stones. Then comes identity. Identity shapes destiny. If you don't know who you are, the world will decide for you. And when the world decides, it usually decides small. But when you know, deep down, that you were born for greatness, when you carry that conviction into everything you do, no one can take your crown. Your results, your resilience, your consistency will make the world admit what it once denied, that you are who you said you were all along. And yes, you will face setbacks. Even champions fall. But here's the truth: resilience turns setbacks into legacy. What makes a champion unforgettable is not that he never hit the canvas. It's that he always got back up. The measure of your life will not be how many times you were knocked down, but how many times you refused to stay down. Finally, understand this: purpose outlives titles. Trophies gather dust, belts fade, applause dies down. But what people will remember is how you lived. Did you carry love? Did you spread kindness? Did you serve others with the same passion you fought for yourself? True greatness is not in being the champion of the ring, but in being the champion of life. Someone who makes the world richer, warmer, and braver because you are here. So yes, declare your greatness. Believe in your destiny. Fight your battles with confidence, with courage, with preparation. Rise again and again. Because in the end, it's not just about winning, it's about becoming. And when you become who you were created to be, then truly you are the greatest. Confidence is not a luxury, it is the foundation upon which all greatness is built. Without it, talent remains unused, skills remain hidden, and dreams remain unfulfilled. Confidence is the invisible force that transforms potential into performance. It is the spark that ignites action when the odds appear overwhelming. It is a voice inside you that says, "Wes, I can." Even when the world around you is shouting, "No, you can't." Think about it. Every champion you've ever admired, every person who stood tall in the face of challenges, every individual who seemed unstoppable, began their journey with an unshakable belief in themselves. Before they lifted a trophy, before they wore a medal, before they received applause, they first carried the conviction that they were capable. That inner belief was the starting point, their anchor, and their compass. Confidence does not mean arrogance. It does not mean pretending to be perfect or superior to others. True confidence is rooted in preparation, discipline, and clarity of vision. It is not the loud boast of a weak foundation, but the quiet strength of someone who knows they've done the work. A confident person can walk into a storm with calmness because they've already practiced in the rain. They can face uncertainty with courage because they've already rehearsed resilience. Confidence says, "I am ready," not because the world has assured you of victory, but because you have assured yourself that you are prepared for whatever may come. Now let me paint the contrast for you. Imagine two people stepping into the same challenge. One walks in with doubt, with hesitation, with a mind cluttered by fear. The other walks in with clarity, focus, and certainty. Which one do you think will perform better? Not the one with more talent necessarily, not even the one with more resources, but the one who believes, truly believes, that they belong there. Confidence has a way of multiplying effort. It sharpens focus. It amplifies strengths. It gives you the courage to take the swing, to make the call, to step into the arena, while others hesitate on the sidelines. In life, many people are defeated not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked belief. They surrendered before the battle even began. They allowed self-doubt to act as a greater opponent than any competitor could ever be. The harsh truth is this: most people don't fail because they aim too high and miss. They fail because they aim too low and hit. Confidence is what lifts your aim. Confidence is what dares you to step on a higher ground. Confidence whispers, "Why me not? Me? Why not now?" But here's the secret: confidence is not inherited, it is cultivated. No one is born with certainty in their abilities. Confidence is a habit built through small wins, daily discipline, and the courage to try even when success is not guaranteed. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. Every time you practice when no one is watching, your confidence grows. Every time you push through fear instead of bowing to it, your confidence grows. Confidence is not found in the spotlight. It is forged in the shadows, in the lonely hours when no applause is present, no crowd is watching, and no reward is visible. And once confidence is built, it becomes contagious. People are drawn to those who carry themselves with certainty. Opportunities find their way to those who radiate belief. Leaders are followed not because they have all the answers, but because they believe in the path ahead. Confidence inspires confidence. It creates an atmosphere where others feel safe to dream bigger, take risks, and trust that the impossible may actually be possible. Let me ask you a question. What do you believe about yourself when no one is listening? What is the story you tell yourself when the lights are off and it's just you and your thoughts? Because that story will shape your life. If you tell yourself you are unworthy, you will shrink back when opportunities appear. If you tell yourself you are incapable, you will never even attempt to climb. But if you tell yourself you are capable, resilient, prepared, and worthy, you will rise above obstacles that crush others. The narrative you carry inside will either chain you to mediocrity or catapult you into greatness. Confidence is not about ignoring reality. It is about shaping it. The person who walks into life with confidence possibilities where others see walls. They see a door where others see a barrier. They see a stepping stone where others see a stumbling block. Confidence gives you the courage to try, and once you try, the world begins to bend in your favor. It may not always happen immediately, but over time, confidence and persistence will turn impossibility into inevitability. So never underestimate the power of belief. The size of your talent matters less than the size of your conviction. The world will often reflect back to you what you first project. If you project doubt, you will attract obstacles. If you project certainty, you will attract opportunities. Life tends to mirror the posture of your own heart. Stand tall, believe deeply, and carry yourself as if victory is already written in your story. And soon you'll find that it often is. Every dream carries a price tag, and that price is risk. You cannot reach greatness without stepping into the unknown. You cannot discover your potential by staying in the safe zone of life. Risk is the toll gate you must pass through on the road to achievement. Here's the truth. Most people stop at that gate. They want the reward, but they don't want the risk. They want the victory, but not the vulnerability. He's a champ. They want the comfort of certainty without the courage of faith. Think of the word risk. For a moment, what does it really mean? Risk is simply the possibility that things may not go the way you plan. Risk is the chance that effort may not bring the result you hoped for. But here's the other side of risk is also the doorway to everything extraordinary. Without risk, there are no breakthroughs. Without risk, there are no champions. Without risk, there are no stories worth telling. Let me ask you, what is the alternative to risk? The alternative is safety, and safety may feel comfortable, but it comes with a hidden cost. Safety leads to stagnation. Safety builds regret. Safety ensures that you never know what could have been. A life built only on avoiding risk is a life spent watching others live the dreams you abandoned. And make no mistake, safety itself is not safe. Because the longer you stay in it, the smaller your world becomes. Look at any champion in history, in sports, in business, in art, in leadership. They all share this one common trait: they were willing to risk. They risk their reputation, their security, their time, their energy. They risk being laughed at, being misunderstood, being underestimated. Some risked losing everything they had. But in the end, their willingness to step into the unknown gave them a prize that far outweighed the cost. They understood that comfort never created legends. You see, risk is not the enemy. Risk is a teacher. It teaches you resilience when things don't go as planned. It teaches you adaptability when the outcome is different than you imagine. It teaches you humility when success comes with unexpected challenges. And perhaps most importantly, it teaches you courage, the kind of courage that cannot be learned from a book or a seminar, but only from experience. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. They think risk is about gambling everything blindly. No, risk is not reckless. Risk is calculated courage. It's weighing the cost and still deciding that the reward is worth it. It's stepping into the ring of life knowing you might get knocked down, but also knowing that staying outside the ring guarantees you'll never win. The danger of risk is real, but so is the danger of never risking at all. Consider this: the person who risks failure is the only one who can taste success. The person who risks rejection is the only one who can know love. The person who risks uncertainty is the only one who can build a future beyond the ordinary. If you protect yourself from risk, you also protect yourself from reward. They are two sides of the same coin. You cannot separate them. So ask yourself, what risks are you avoiding today? What conversation have you been too afraid to have? What idea have you been too afraid to try? What opportunity have you let slip because you convinced yourself it was too dangerous, too uncertain, too costly? The reality is that the longer you wait for the perfect moment, the further that moment drifts away. There will never be a guarantee. The only guarantee in life is that without risk, you will never know what you are truly capable of. The greatest danger in life is not falling short. It is settling short. It is standing at the edge of your potential, staring across at what could be, but never taking the step. That step is always risky, but it is also always necessary. Risk is the bridge between where you are and where you could be. Without it, you remain stuck on the shore of what if pa. With it, you step into the vast ocean of possibility. Remember, champions are not those who avoided risk. They are those who embraced it. They are the ones who understood that to risk nothing is to gain nothing. They decided that the fear of regret was greater than the fear of failure. They chose to risk being doubted in order to be remembered. And because of that choice, the world remembers their names. Every time you step forward with boldness, you invite critics. Every time you raise your head above the crowd, you will hear voices trying to pull you back down. The truth is simple: no one criticizes the ordinary. Critics always aim at the extraordinary because it challenges their comfort, their assumptions, and their sense of safety. If you decide to live small, to blend in, to play it safe, you will rarely hear criticism. But the moment you decide to dream big, to speak boldly, to stand for something meaningful, the critics will arrive. And here's where courage comes in. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act in spite of it. Courage is not the absence of criticism. It is the will to press on despite it. Without courage, critics become walls that stop your progress. With courage, critics become noise that you learn to ignore. Courage transforms the harsh words of doubters into fuel that propels you forward. You see, critics will often speak from the limits of their own perspective. They cannot see what you see. They cannot imagine what you imagine. Their reasoning will tell them it cannot be done. Their history will tell them it has never been done. Their fear will tell them it should not be done. And so, when you rise with a vision greater than their experience, they project their doubts onto you. But their doubts are not your destiny. Their disbelief is not your reality. Their limits do not define your potential. Consider this: every great innovator, every champion, every leader who ever changed the world was, at one point, called foolish. They were doubted, dismissed, even ridiculed. Yet they pressed forward. And what happened? Over time, the same critics who once laughed had no choice but to admit what they denied all along, that greatness had been standing before them. Courage does not silence critics immediately. It silences them eventually when your results speak louder than their doubts. But here's the danger. If you live your life seeking approval, you will never find courage, because critics will never stop. If you wait for them to clap before you act, you will wait forever. If you wait for them to believe before you believe in yourself, You will wait until your dreams have faded. Courage is about choosing conviction over consensus. It is about deciding that your vision is worth more than their validation. Think about it this way: courage is like a shield. Every word of doubt that comes your way, "You're not good enough, you'll never make it, this can't be done," those words are arrows. Without courage, those arrows pierce deeply. But with courage, the arrows bounce off. Courage doesn't mean you don't hear the critics. It means you refuse to be wounded by them. Now, let me tell you a secret about critics. They reveal more about themselves than they do about you. When someone says, "Can't be done," what they are really saying is, "I can't see myself doing it." When they say, "You will fail," what they are really admitting is, "I'm too afraid to try." Their criticism is a reflection of their own limitations, not yours. And if you let their limitations define your choices, you will shrink into their world instead of expanding into yours. Courage is also contagious. When you stand boldly in the face of criticism, others who are watching, people who are also afraid of being judged, find strength in your example. Your courage gives them permission to step forward as well. You never know who is waiting for you to go first, who is watching to see whether you can withstand the storm of voices, so they can find the bravery to walk their own path. So, what does this mean for you? It means you must decide in advance how you will respond to critics, because they will come. The moment you set your sights on a dream, they will appear. Some will laugh, some will doubt, some will even cheer against you. But you must carry a deeper conviction inside that says, "I will not be moved." When the voices rise, let your courage rise higher. When the doubts increase, let your determination deepen. When the critics say no, let your courage shout yes. Never forget, critics are loud in the beginning, but silent in the end. They may mock your first step, but they will stand in awe of your last. Courage is what carries you through the noise, through the resistance. Courage is what turns their judgment into your fuel. And courage is what ensures that in the end, your life is not defined by the voices that doubted you, but by the victories that proved them wrong. When people watch a champion perform, whether in the ring, on the stage, or in the marketplace, they often call it talent, luck, or destiny. They see the moment of victory, the highlight, the glory, but what they rarely see is the preparation behind it. Preparation is invisible to most, but it is the very thing that makes the impossible possible. Without preparation, confidence is empty, courage is reckless, and vision is powerless. But with preparation, even the most difficult obstacles can be overcome. Preparation is the discipline of champions. It is the quiet work that no one applauds, the daily grind that few notice, the sacrifices that rarely get headlines, and yet it is these hidden moments that separate those who dream from those who achieve. A fight is not won the night of the battle. It is won in the months of training that lead up to it. Success in business is not determined at the launch of an idea. It is determined in the countless hours of planning, testing, and refining beforehand. Preparation is where the real victory is forged. Think of the matador and the bull. The bull is bigger, stronger, faster, more powerful. By every measurement of raw ability, the bull should win. But the matador does not step into the arena unprepared. He has studied the bull's movements. He has practiced his timing. He knows the rhythm of the fight. And because of preparation, he conquers a force much stronger than himself. That is what preparation does. It allows the weaker to overcome the stronger, the smaller to outwit the larger, the ordinary to achieve the extraordinary. Here's the truth: without preparation, you will always be at the mercy of circumstance. Life will throw punches, and if you are unprepared, you will be knocked out by situations that could have been avoided. But with preparation, you can anticipate challenges, absorb blows, and strike with precision when the opportunity arises. Preparation doesn't eliminate difficulty. It equips you to face it with strength. Preparation also builds confidence. You cannot fake belief in yourself if you know deep down that you have not done the work. But when you prepare, when you put in the hours, when you study, train, rehearse, and refine, you carry an inner assurance that no critic can shake. You can walk into the arena and say, "I belong here." Not because of arrogance, but because of evidence. You've done the work. You've paid the price. And preparation gives you the right to believe. Most people want success to be spontaneous. They want to step into greatness without the inconvenience of discipline. But that's not how life works. You cannot skip preparation and expect to reap excellence. If you plant nothing, you harvest nothing. If you neglect the roots, the tree will not grow. Preparation is the sowing season, the hidden labor that guarantees a harvest later. And the longer and more consistent the preparation, the greater the harvest becomes. But let's be honest, preparation is not glamorous. It is often boring, repetitive, and thankless. It requires patience when results are not immediate. It requires consistency when motivation fades. This is why so few commit to it fully. They want the reward without the repetition, the applause without the practice. And this is why the gap between dreamers and achievers is so wide. The achievers are willing to prepare long after the dreamers have given up. Preparation is also what turns fear into strategy. Without preparation, fear feels overwhelming, but with preparation, fear becomes manageable. Think of a speaker walking onto a stage. Without preparation, their heart races, their mind freezes, their words stumble. But with preparation, with hours of study, rehearsal, refinement, they may still feel nervous, but they are equipped. They know their material. They know their flow. And instead of fear defeating them, preparation allows them to harness that energy into power. The same is true for every challenge in life. You cannot eliminate uncertainty, but you can prepare for it. You cannot control every outcome, but you can prepare yourself to respond well to whatever happens. Preparation gives you resilience. It creates options. It ensures that when the unexpected comes, you are not paralyzed. You are ready. So let me ask you, what are you preparing for? Are you preparing your mind daily with knowledge? Or do you wait until the crisis to learn? Are you preparing your body with health and strength? Or do you wait until sickness forces you to act? Are you preparing your character with discipline? Or do you wait until temptation exposes your weakness? Life rewards those who prepare before the test, not those who scramble during it. Remember this, champions are not made in the spotlight, they are revealed there. The real work happens in the quiet, in the unseen hours of preparation that no one notices. By the time the world sees the performance, the outcome has already been decided. Preparation is the difference between those who dream of success and those who achieve it. One of the most powerful truths you will ever learn is this: you will always live up to the picture you carry of yourself. Your identity sets the boundaries for your destiny. What you believe about who you are always guide what you attempt, what you accept, and what you achieve. Change your skills, and you may improve for a moment. Change your circumstances, and you may feel progress temporarily. But change your identity, and you change your future forever. Identity is not what the world calls you. Identity is what you call yourself. Too many people live under labels placed on them by others. Someone told them they weren't smart enough, and they wore that as truth. Someone told them they didn't have what it takes, and they let that become their reality. Someone laughed at their dream, and they let that laughter become their ceiling. But listen carefully. Your destiny is never determined by what others call you. It is determined by what you believe about yourself. Think of a champion. Before they ever win a title, they already see themselves as one. Before the crowd cheers, they have already declared victory in their mind. That's why they train differently, think differently, and act differently, because their identity demands it. If you believe you are ordinary, you will act ordinary. But if you believe you are destined for greatness, you will rise above what others think is possible. Your actions are always a reflection of your identity. If you see yourself as weak, you will avoid challenges. If you see yourself as strong, you will step into them. If you see yourself as a victim, you will look for excuses. If you see yourself as a victor, you will look for solutions. The story you tell yourself about who you are becomes the script for how you live. And if you don't rewrite that story, you will keep repeating the same outcomes. Now, here's the danger. If you let the world define your identity, you will always live too small. Because the world tends to remember your failures more than your victories. It tends to point out your weaknesses more than your strengths. It tends to remind you of where you fell short rather than where you succeeded. If you let those voices write your identity, you will never step into your full potential. That's why you must decide who you are before the world decides for you. And identity is not just about words. It's about evidence. When you align your daily actions with the identity you've chosen, your belief grows stronger. If you see yourself as disciplined, you must practice discipline daily. If you see yourself as courageous, you must step into fear regularly. Identity is strengthened by repetition. Each choice you make is like casting a vote for the kind of person you believe yourself to be. The more votes you cast, the stronger your identity becomes. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people trying to quit a bad habit. One says, "I'm trying to quit." The other says, "I don't do that anymore." Which one do you think will succeed? The first sees quitting as an event. They are still identifying with the habit. The second has shifted identity. They no longer see themselves as the kind of person who engages in it. Identity is the strongest force in human behavior. You will fight to remain consistent with who you believe you are. So the question becomes, who are you telling yourself you are? Do you tell yourself you're not smart enough, not talented enough, not good enough? Then your actions will follow that script. But if you tell yourself you are strong, capable, disciplined, resilient, worthy of success, then your life will begin to move in that direction. What you believe about yourself sets the stage for everything else. Identity also influences how you handle setbacks. If you see yourself as fragile, every failure will break you. But if you see yourself as resilient, every failure will shape you. If you see yourself as unworthy, rejection will confirm your fears. But if you see yourself as destined for greatness, rejection will only serve as redirection. Identity is the filter through which you interpret every experience in life. Change the filter, and the meaning of everything you face changes too. And identity has ripple effects. When you know who you are, you stop living for applause. You stop needing the approval of every critic. You stop shrinking to fit the expectations of those who doubt you. Instead, you rise with conviction because your identity has already been settled. And when others see you stand firm, they are inspired to redefine their own identity as well. Your strength becomes their permission. Never forget, destiny is not written in the stars. It is written in your self-concept. If you want to change your future, start by changing the way you see yourself. Decide who you are, live like it every day. And soon the world will have no choice but to acknowledge the truth you've already declared. Every person who has ever stood on the mountaintop of success has walked through valleys of defeat. Every champion, every leader, every pioneer has faced moments when life seemed to strike harder than they could stand. But here is the difference: of the ones who are remembered are not those who never fell, but those who refuse to stay down. Resilience is what turns setbacks into legacy. Setbacks are universal. No one escapes them. They come in many forms: failure, rejection, betrayal, loss. Sometimes they come from external forces, sometimes from our own mistakes. But setbacks themselves are not the end. They are a test, a question that life asks. Will you rise again? And how you answer that question determines the story that will be told about your life. Resilience is not pretending that pain doesn't exist. It is not denying the sting of disappointment or the frustration of defeat. Resilience is the ability to feel the weight of the setback, acknowledge it fully, and then decide, this will not be the end of me. It is the quiet strength to get up one more time than you were knocked down. It is the determination to turn obstacles into stepping stones. Think about history's greatest figures: athletes, inventors, leaders, artists. Their legacies were not born out of perfect records. In fact, many of them failed more often than they succeeded, but their resilience is what defined them. They turned losses into lessons, pain into purpose, setbacks into setups for comebacks. That is why we remember their names, not because they never fell, but because they never stayed fallen. Here's the truth: resilience transforms how you see failure. Without resilience, failure looks like a wall, a dead end, a reason to quit. But resilience, failure looks like feedback. It looks like a lesson, a redirection, a stepping stone towards something greater. The resilient person doesn't ask, why did this happen to me? They ask, what can I learn from this? That question alone changes the outcome. And resilience does more than rebuild your journey. It builds your character. Every time you rise after a setback, you add another layer of strength. You discover depths of courage you didn't know you had. You develop patience, humility, and endurance. Over time, resilience forges you into a person who cannot be easily broken. And that kind of person becomes unstoppable, because no matter what life throws them, they find a way to continue. Resilience also changes how others see you. People are inspired by victories, yes, but they are transformed by stories of resilience. When they see you endure hardship, when they see you refuse to quit, When they see you rise again and again, they find hope for their own struggles. Your resilience gives them a blueprint for how to face their own battles. And that is where legacy is born. Legacy is not about living a perfect life. It's about showing others how to keep going in the imperfect one. Now, let's be honest, resilience is not easy. It is much easier to quit, to walk away, to surrender. That is why resilience is rare and why it is so valuable. Quitting costs nothing, but resilience costs everything. Persistence when you feel exhausted, faith when you feel doubtful, courage when you feel afraid. But the reward is this: every setback you overcome becomes part of the story that defines you. He's a champ, the story that others will tell long after you are gone. Think of it this way: resilience turns your scars into symbols. The wounds that once represented pain become reminders of strength. The battles that once felt like defeats become proof of your endurance. The very things that could have destroyed you become the reasons others respect and admire you. What once was a mark of failure becomes a monument of resilience. And here's something powerful. Resilience is a choice. You don't always get to choose the setback, but you always get to choose your response. You cannot control whether storms come, but you can control whether you stand. You cannot control whether people doubt you, betray you, or reject you, but you can control whether you let it stop you. The resilient person decides, I will rise again, no matter what. And that decision is what writes the story of their legacy. So ask yourself, when the story of your life is told, will people say you never faced hardship? Or will they say you faced hardship and never quit? Will your legacy be comfort, or will it be courage? The truth is, resilience is what gives your life weight, depth, and meaning. It is what turns your battles into victories worth remembering. In life, many people chase recognition, awards, and accolades. They pursue the applause of the crowd, the shine of medals, or the validation of others. And while achievements can bring temporary satisfaction, they are not what endures. Titles are fleeting, trophies gather dust, and applause fades with time. What truly lasts, what truly matters, is purpose. Purpose outlives title because it is not measured by the scoreboard of the world, but by the impact you leave behind. Purpose is the guiding force that shapes your decisions, drives your actions, and inspires your perseverance. While titles can mark a moment, purpose marks a lifetime. It is the reason you get up in the morning, the force that pushes you through difficulties, the compass that keeps you moving even when the path is unclear. Without purpose, success is shallow and fleeting. With purpose, even the smallest acts carry meaning, and every effort becomes a step towards something greater than yourself. Think of the most revered figures in history. Their names are remembered not just for what they accomplished, but for what they stood for. Their titles, their victories, their wealth, those are remembered only in passing. What people remember is the purpose behind their actions, the cause they championed, the lives they touched, the ideals they lived for. Purpose is the lasting echo of a life well lived, the legacy that persists long after the spotlight has dimmed. Purpose also gives depth to struggle. When challenges arise, when setbacks strike, when critics doubt, it is purpose that anchors you. Titles can be won or lost in an instant, but purpose cannot be taken away. When you act from a place of purpose, hardship becomes meaningful, sacrifice becomes bearable, and effort becomes worthwhile. Purpose transforms ordinary endurance into extraordinary resilience. It allows you to rise repeatedly, not for recognition, but for the mission you know is bigger than yourself. Moreover, purpose is contagious. When you live with purpose, you inspire others to do the same. Your actions ripple outward, touching people you may never meet. One person living fully in alignment with their purpose can ignite courage, faith, and hope in countless others. This is the reason why leaders who act with intention leave a lasting mark, while those who act merely for accolades are soon forgotten. The true measure of your life is the difference you make, the lives you influence, and the inspiration you leave behind. Purpose also provides clarity in moments of choice. Life constantly presents crossroads, decisions that could take you closer to your calling or farther away. Titles may tempt you, recognition may distract you, and the approval of others may mislead you. But purpose acts as a filter. It tells you which paths align with your mission and which are distractions. It ensures your energy is invested in what truly matters. While others chase applause, you chase meaning. While others seek validation, you seek fulfillment. Because of that clarity, your actions become deliberate, confident, and impactful. Now consider the fleeting nature of titles. Championships can be lost, awards can be revoked, and fame can fade overnight. But purpose is immune to the passage of time. You cannot take your trophies with you when you leave this world, but you can take the lives you've influenced, the hearts you've lifted, and the legacy of integrity and service you built. Purpose gives permanence to a life that might otherwise be measured in fleeting moments. Living with purpose also transforms ordinary success into extraordinary significance. A person with titles but no purpose may achieve much, but their achievements do not resonate beyond themselves. A person with purpose, even without public recognition, shapes the world. Purpose ensures that your work, your effort, and your struggle matter in ways that transcend your own lifespan. It creates a life that others will remember, a life that will continue to impact generations long after you are gone. And here's the final truth: purpose is not discovered in a moment of applause. It is cultivated through consistent reflection, intentional action, and a commitment to something larger than yourself. Every decision, every sacrifice, every choice to act with integrity and serve others strengthens the clarity of your purpose. And the more aligned you become with your purpose, the more your life resonates with meaning, regardless of titles, recognition, or external approval. Purpose is the enduring measure of greatness. It is the compass that guides champions when the path is dark. It is the anchor that holds you steady when storms rage. It is the legacy that will outlast every trophy, every title, and every moment of fleeting fame. Living with purpose ensures that long after the applause fades, your life will continue to speak, inspire, and uplift.